I'll cut out this first part.
That's fine.
Well, as soon as this airplane passes over, you guys are welcome back to the SciCast.
Well, good day, morning, afternoon, whenever you may be listening here today. Welcome back. We're finally back again. Another hiatus.
I'm your host, Dr. J, with my co-host here.
I'm Ben, back again, dealing with family life. So we're finally able to coordinate schedules again.
Yeah,
Very good.
but no baby this time. I know you will.
Not yet, anyway. She might be joining us later.
Maybe.
Anyway, so today, what we're talking about, we came up with an interesting topic to talk about today.
That's right. Area 51. Something everybody knows something about, but not for sure.
I would say if you haven't heard about it, you've probably been living under a rock.
It's been the basis of many movie, book, TV show.
Yes. Lots of different stuff to come out there. Obviously, I would probably say the first thing that most people would think of, you say Area 51,
Mm-hmm.
I would think, at least, it comes to me, but, there's other things. Probably, aliens and UFOs.
That's what I was saying. Aliens.
Is probably the most common fact.
What were the ones that crashed? What was it? Roswell?
Near Roswell. Roswell out there. That's the one, the famous one that was supposedly taken, and that's where the aircraft was taken to be studied.
As well as 3 bodies, I believe.
Yes, it was three alien bodies that were supposedly taken.
Dead, unfortunately. Well, so
they
tell us.
2 dead and the one that was supposedly alive. But supposedly, that's what they thought, that there was one that ended up later dying because of our lack of alien physiology.
That's right. Or it could be like Independence Day, where they couldn't breathe their atmosphere.
Yeah, something along that lines. There. The other things that I ended up finding out that knew as well, that you may or may not know about. 3 other things. That is actually, it's also the source of where, I guess a couple other major conspiracy theories that are out there, that it was the site of the first lunar landing. This is where it was filmed.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. That's why I say theory.
Right. Well, yeah, I suppose theory would be a good word for it. It just didn't sound right, I guess, to me.
Mm-hmm.
If the theory is
conspiracy
theory,
yeah,
that they faked the lunar landing on was it Apollo 11?
Yes, I believe 11. I believe might have been the first one.
It was 13 with Hanks didn't make it.
Right. Oh yeah, that one there. So it was there.
Because they say that our cell phones are more powerful than the computers they used back in the 60s to get to the moon. So they're saying, how could they do that?
Right, exactly.
They had cars too.
That's one, the theory. And I guess a couple of the big ones, and I'm actually kind of leaning, I personally lean a little bit more. I've read a couple of different books on the actual first lunar landing. And 2 of the big factors that lean towards, they say it was faking it and why it was filmed in a cavern somewhere, was you look at the background of all of the photos from that first landing in the film, there are no stars in the background. It's completely black. You don't see any stars at all. Which would be, why wouldn't there be? It was like, your camera just doesn't pick, that type of a thing.
There is a possibility with the, what do you call it, I guess megapixel camera they were using. Was it good enough to even pick up that source of minuscule light? Although I wouldn't consider it minuscule because it has no atmosphere to get through.
Right, because there's nothing to dampen it, which is one. The second big one, which is a little bit smaller, but they say it's a conspiracy, so to speak, is that they see the picture of the flag that they plant. The flag is blowing.
I do remember seeing that because
there's no atmosphere, there's no wind. How could it blow?
I was told, somebody said, well, when they walk by, they hit it, and since there's no atmosphere, it'll keep moving.
So that's there. But that's a whole other topic of conversation. But to come back to Area 51, which is our topic, the astronauts from that first lunar landing actually did go to that area for training for that first landing. Because of all the nuclear testing that was done out there.
That probably
They were saying that the ground formations was similar to what they would be experiencing on the moon.
Yeah.
So that's where they actually did a lot of their training for, I believe, driving the vehicle, the lunar vehicle,
probably
and for their walking and things. So it was good training there because of the nuclear site, which I guess to step back a little bit, that's where Area 51 actually gets its name from all of the nuclear testing that they did out in that area. They had areas, 1 through
that the government owned out there.
that the government owns, and they 1, 3, 5, 22, which obviously all the way up to 51. I did not look high enough to see how many there actually were, or if that was available. But where they built the actual the base out there, the military base there, is actually on Area 51. Is kind of where the name originated from.
So there's no special. It's not like a nickname that they got. Some scientist wanted to make a catchy name or something.
Right. Yeah. This is actually a point there. Other people also refer to it as Groom Lake, which is nearby. And looking at another video as well, when it was actually first built in the area, it was actually in 1951, coincidentally. It was actually called Watertown too, originally, by some of the more local residents.
And not Watertown, Minnesota.
No. So that's just one of the other things that they're known for. The other second theory, conspiracy theory that it's known for, is that there's a large network, series of tunnels connecting Area 51 to several other military bases across the U.S.
I was going to say, now are these confirmed tunnels, or are these more...
Well, like I say, conspiracy theory, but with some of the stuff that's been declassified over the recent years, there actually is a series of tunnels down there.
Okay.
How extensive they actually really are is yet to be unknown. But where a lot of these tunnels come from goes back to the nuclear testing again that they did out there, detonating the nuclear devices underground. There is actual reports that they were detonating the devices as far as 4,500 feet or meters below the surface of the Earth.
Well, we live in America, so it's feet.
I would have to say feet. So, we're talking, almost a mile below the surface where they were actually dead. So there is a series of networks of tunnels down there. The actual extent of how far they go is to be determined, or yet to be released.
Taking these tunnels from the Morlocks.
The Morlocks. Yes, that's who's actually... They found them, that's why they quit digging. They found the mole people.
Oh shit, we gotta drop a bomb down here.
Yeah. That was the original thing. So that's where part of it, and again, that's where they think some of these tunnels where possibly this, the first lunar landing may have been filmed.
Which is a good topic. We might be able to do that one topic on that, because
conspiracy theories in general. Yeah. So yeah, and then of course, what we touched on right away, the biggie, the extraterrestrial other life.
That's probably the one everybody's all wanting to talk about anyways, because that's, even to me, the most fascinating part of Area 51.
Oh, yeah.
The possibility that our government is reverse engineering alien technology to make computers. Allegedly. Yeah,
yes, allegedly. They... At this point, they still believe that, they still deny that they're doing that.
Sure.
That they are in denial of that aliens don't exist, they're not harboring any craft or anything.
Which goes back to the whole point, I think we did touch it on a previous podcast, about are we ready to know about aliens? Is society ready?
Yeah. That might have actually been the first one we were together.
I think it was
doing simulation theory.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned the reverse engineering, because there are reports of actual reverse engineering that they have done at the site. It was from a captured MiG fighter that they had.
Not quite extraterrestrial, but...
No, not extraterrestrial, but from a foreign power. They had a captured fighter, and they reverse engineered that to...
Because the MiGs were were, I think, superior to ours at the time.
Yes, they were. And I believe that's what prompted going to the F-14-15 Tomcats.
Which are still pretty good.
Which are, yes, still very good. So it was kind of our technology was a little bit of it was taken there. They wanted to know why these MiGs were flying so well, and they were getting beaten dogfights very bad. So,
and there's no way America's losing the Cold War.
yeah. Which is, prompted, that's where they had the U-2, where the U-2 bomber U-2 bomber was made. That they nicknamed the Angel at the time.
Did you say U-2?
U-2.
Yeah, because I went right to the band.
U-2. Yeah, it was, the bomber was there before the band.
U-2 bomber. I was like, somebody trying to get rid of a U-2?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, because of, how high it could fly. That's why it was nicknamed the Angel.
Poor Bono.
Yeah, poor Bono. Hey, he's just got a bad rap going. So that's where a lot of that was coming from.
Okay.
So there's actual reverse engineering going on there, and they still do a bit to that.
So it's likely that they have the facilities to do this kind of...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And why a lot of it, I also found out, where everything seems to be so shrouded in secrecy, is that yes, a lot of it is kept top secret, and from each other. And from the way that I understood and it was explained from a little research that I did, was that everybody that is working on the same project has no idea that they're working on the same project. Quick example would be that, the guy working on radar has no idea, he's sitting in his cubicle working on radar technology, where on the opposite side of your little paper thin wall, for let's say a fighter plane, on the other side of this wall, there's a guy working on the telemetry of the object. They have no idea what the other one is doing. They may know what each other's specialty is. They have no idea that they're even working on the same project. So that's it. That's a level of security that they've implemented.
And that's a lot of NDAs, probably.
Right, to try and release, for release of information for people to actually be able to put it together. Sure. So they don't even, so that's where a lot of the levels of secrecy come from.
That's pretty hefty.
Yeah, and so they know it, and they even talk like the pilots that are, going to the UFO sightings. It's, it's been known now, this is where the U.S. government does a lot of flight testing for their new vehicles.
Sure.
New planes, and...
Which accounts for numerous UFO sightings.
What would explain, because they're trying, the government says that they're testing out new flight vehicles, new planes, new technology. That's why you're seeing something that you've never seen before.
What are the gas balloons? What are the hot air balloons that they used to say? Like, no, it wasn't a UFO.
No, it was a typical explanations to explain it away. Swamp gas, weather balloons.
That was
weather balloons, things like that. The sun reflecting off of something, giving those are the typical
meteor.
Plausible deniabilities there. So
we throw in our Independence Day reference there.
Yeah. There you go.
Plausible
deniability. Yeah, we got to get that one out there. Well, they were saying that. Well, and actually, they were saying that in all actuality, some presidents didn't. Yeah. We're told that it doesn't exist for their own safety. Yeah. So, very rather interesting. They were saying even the pilots of these things. The pilots have no idea where they're flying until they actually step into the cockpit, what their flight path is supposed to be.
Yeah, I know I've seen that in a few movies, but that's I guess pretty common.
I'm gonna have to. I think we're having an appearance by my daughter here.
No, I'll cut all this out.
All right.
Or I'll pause it. Where's that button? Does she fist pump yet?
Not quite. She will. She go. Hey, there you go. All right, there we go. Come back in. All right. So, little hey, as you can see, we have somebody did not want to be alone any longer. Nap time was over. So, but she'll be good.
Okay. Back to Area 51.
Yeah, and the people in the cubicles there. So, so we're getting back on track. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, and where they were saying that, these guys just being able to keep everything a secret, and that's how the government is able to, avoid knowledge leaking out.
Yeah.
So if somebody were to, leak some information to somebody,
They would only have part of it.
they would have part of it, and they wouldn't even know who to go to. I mean, the person that gave them wouldn't even know who to refer them to put the pieces together,
Right.
So, yeah, I thought that was interesting there. But as far as that, well, then you get into the big UFO stuff now. And, watched a couple of UFO specials on TV and such. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It obviously there's been so many sightings and so many things, but you can't imagine that they're not there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just listening to a podcast, another podcast that I listened to, Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh,
very
yeah.
good, very good. And he brought up again the Fermi. I think it's the Fermi paradox, which is that yes, the scientists, they come together and they say yes, the universe is infinitely expansive. Obviously, there has to be something out there because there's so many worlds out there. The Fermi paradox says, then where are they? That kind of thing. If there's infinite amounts of worlds out there, how come we haven't seen it? But maybe because we're being hidden from it, that kind of thing.
That could be. To tag on to that a little bit, what I had seen was it was a mathematician. I believe out of Maryland or Massachusetts. I don't remember which. It goes back. I think it's Drake's equation. I believe is.
Yeah, I know that equation. Yeah.
Was there that according to his equation, that just in the Milky Way universe alone, according to his formula for habitable worlds around systems, whatnot, just in the Milky Way universe alone, there would be, I believe it was like 10,000 planets with intelligent life upon them.
What was those planets? What did they include? The Goldilocks zone?
I don't know. I didn't remember that or got into detail of that. But they were having to go with the size of the planet, how big the size of the planet was, distance from the sun or star that it would be moving around. Yes, you have something to contribute? And that they would, because they were saying, as you get into the planets like the size of, Jupiter and Saturn, they're just too big.
Yeah.
The gravity pull would not be able to sustain, the intelligence wouldn't be able to evolve because all of their development would go towards physical development, so that the brain wouldn't have room to actually develop at all.
Makes you nice to move.
Yeah, somebody's crawling all over. So yeah, it touches on a few past casts with how can there not be something out there?
Exactly.
I mean, it might only be plant life, or a single-celled organism, but it's got to be out there.
Possibility of water. In this case, most of the cases, ice, as we keep finding.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it almost seems it used to be that nobody really thought about it. There's kind of a big switch in society now where people are like, yeah, actually, probably kind of.
It is, and I think a lot of that is coming from
the internet.
The internet one available, and I believe it's actually the loss of religion, and a lot of it too.
Yeah.
That people are getting a little bit more towards the scientific belief of things, or you're getting a few more people, but it's it's all a big transition phase. You're getting the combination of church and sciences as well, which is kind of where I fall personally a little bit.
Sure.
I was raised a very
most people do,
devout Catholic, but I find a lot of this so interesting, and it's like, well, how can this not be true? Yeah.
Well, also you got to figure the idea of this, extremely massive, I should say, and in this case mostly old, billions of years, doesn't exclude a higher power in the way of speaking. Like,
no,
it doesn't say, because oh, this is here, doesn't mean God still doesn't exist.
Right. It's kind of the theory there. He says, well, you can't prove he exists. Well, you can't prove that he doesn't exist either. Yeah. So it's, the lingering, you know, kind of the lingering, which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, it's just funny. I just heard you know Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysicist. He runs the planetarium over in Washington D.C. I think he's got his own podcast and radio show. But he said, yes, that question. What did he say? The egg came first, laid by not a chicken.
There you go. Not by a chicken.
Or something like a chicken. That's what he said. Yeah. But yeah, that was always the God evolution thing. Mm-hmm. God was the chicken came first. Mm-hmm. Vice versa. He made the chicken, or made the egg, produced the chicken. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Speaking of which, just because we're on this subject now, did you happen to catch the Bill Nye debate against the creationists?
No.
It was on. Because there was the Creationist Museum, this guy who runs it, and he wanted to debate Bill Nye, and Bill Nye accepted it. And it's on YouTube. It's like an hour or so.
Really?
They're up on a podium in a giant auditorium, and they're debating back and forth about.
Oh wow! Yeah. I'll have to check that out. Looks very interesting. Yeah. We're having our own little conversation. Yeah. And I see you talk to the people. So, anyway, the subject is Area 51. Back on topic here a little bit. So yeah, but the other thing that keeps people out, they have signs up all over. Yeah. A lot of the signs where the government used to say and put up it was because of all the nuclear testing that they used to do out there. Oh, it's for your own safety. Sure.
Which is a good thing to put up.
It actually is. Right, you agree?
But people would be afraid to go in there. So
right, because of that's more of the fear thing as well. I completely agree. And so, which would leave them out and free them up to do a lot more of this aircraft testing. Yeah. If, that's supposedly doing, but, on the same token, it would have to be, that it would actually, free them up to do testing of, alien technology that they're probably trying to integrate into, our own systems. Which, how far could they go with some of that? Like we spoke of reverse engineering. Yeah. How could we, it could be a completely different type of fuel energy source to be able to run this.
It would almost have to be. Mm-hmm. Speaking as if they went from their world to here, they would have to. I don't think rocket fuel is going to do that.
No, yeah, which they talk about the folding of space, or traveling through wormholes, where it was. The guy actually explained it this way. He had his hands there instead of traveling the folds there to get from point A to point B. You kind of fold space, so you only have to go this far instead of
which, in essence,
this far.
If you did that, I guess you could use rocket fuel.
Right, you
relatively
could.
Speaking.
But it's still involving a technology that it was I can't remember the term, is the type of engine that it would have to use, which would allow a vehicle, if you're looking at the UFOs and things, how they explain, going at right angles and darting quick movements, which takes away your rocket and fuel propulsion.
A lot of the time was anti-gravity kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Anti-gravity and, I can't think of the term I'm looking for.
Magnetism, but
looking for from a book I read. It's something about. I can't think of the name of it. It's matter. It's like occupying the same space.
Quantum mechanics and physics.
It might be there. That's not the correct term I'm looking for.
I know
what I'm looking for, but it's there.
Hold on, I can get it because I
like a space-time continuum type thing.
Duality, something like that.
I can't remember exactly what it is.
I know it has to do with quantum mechanics, quantum physics and all that.
It's not plate to burn.
Unless you're drinking
Excuse
beer.
me. Right, unless you're drinking beer.
In this case, Guinness.
Yeah, Guinness, the beer of choice. Is why I'm holding my child and promoting this.
It's a new world.
Yeah, it's a brand new world. So yeah, it'd be really interesting. Like I said, I didn't get enough time to research a lot of this information that has become declassified just in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Slowly they did it before. A lot of some of the stuff that I was briefly seeing was from the early 2000s, after the turn of the century.
I mean, that's when they released it, or that's what this?
That's when a lot of some of this stuff was coming from. I mean, that's when they were doing some of it. But I know just as recently, I believe of August of 2013, so just, you know, 7 months ago, they were releasing, had released some more information. I wasn't able to just, for whatever reason, I don't have time to do a lot of that. Yeah, I'm pointing at you. So I didn't find it, but yeah, there's a lot more of this stuff, and people that they're letting go of more, which almost makes you want to believe that they don't have anything there.
Right.
That
that actually is an interesting idea. The Air 51 is a front.
It's a front for what that could be.
For another base.
They've maybe moved all this stuff. You think we've touched on something there? That, after all this time, because, how long has it been since you've really heard, like big news out of there as far as, big considering the Roswell incident, it's that. Why all of a sudden, just in the last few years, have they been releasing, just different information about all these crafts there?
Maybe it's from...
is it just to misguide?
Maybe it's people hacking in, and they find out stuff, they're like, I guess we have to put it out there.
Instead of finding out from a hacker,
right.
What's there, the government takes the first step, go, hey, all right, we're going to get ahead of this, and we'll release some information first.
Sure.
So, that's also a possibility too. They may have developed and built a different site that nobody knows about at this point, perhaps, and
the dark side of the moon.
The dark side.
And we have a workgate over there, or Stargate.
There you go. Use this tunnel system that is supposedly under there. They moved all this stuff to,
which seems intelligently plausible.
Which, if they were to do that, they probably would have moved it to directly under the Rocky Mountains.
That would help shield it too.
Right, because you'd have that much more on top of the mountains, plus you'd be under there, which kind of goes back to a different place that leads to the big...
Wait, isn't that where they're storing all the spent nuclear waste too?
I don't know. That's at the bottom of the ocean.
Well, not necessarily by Area 51, but they dig like holes in the mountains.
Yeah.
Storage, barrels of nuclear waste.
That's what they did now after they got caught dumping it in the ocean.
That's not a good thing. Of course, we're doing it, well, not we are, but Japan is kind of, they're trying to cool down their reactor over there.
Oh, yeah.
They're just pumping ocean water in there.
Oh, yeah. Trying to keep it that way, so Lord knows what's happening there. The kaiju are coming.
That's right. Godzilla for real.
Yeah, kaiju are coming. Start the Jaeger project now.
So you like that movie, I heard, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be a reason why this. I believe the information is being released. That either now they're finding what they thought was important, is it now, or like you said, hackers are coming in.
Yeah.
And so they're more or less being forced to release something. Yeah. Okay. It's alright. Alright, we'll be done here soon, Peanut. Somebody is demanding that we be done now. I don't know why, but I think we have a new director. This is our new director of operations here. This is why we're not getting together here.
I was saying you guys don't have enough flashing lights or
right. So we will develop further tactics to distract her in the future.
Or we can always do a Area 51 part 2.
Right. Okay, I think we gotta be done here.
All right. Well, this part of the podcast is now over, I'm guessing.
It's done here now. We have to end on our director's note here. So if we come back to a part 2 and revisit this, we'll do that. End of part 1. I'm Ben.
I'm Dr. J. Thanks for watching the SciCast, and feel free to leave a comment. I probably won't read it. But yeah.
Yeah, we're good.